Good afternoon and welcome to the 8th Annual State of Small Business in Chatham County Symposium. Because of the pandemic, we were not able to bring this to you during Small Business Week in May. But considering the incredible impact that the pandemic has had on our economy and small businesses over the last 8 months or so, it really is important that we're able to bring you this symposium in a timely manner at such an important time. I'm Michael Siegel. I am the chapter chair of the Savannah chapter of SCORE, the nation's largest provider of free mentoring services to small businesses around the country. We're very excited to once again be a co-presenter of this amazing event with our generous partners at Wells Fargo. Each year, we invite area experts to present local business trends that will help businesses make intelligent decisions, that will help them grow their businesses and capitalize on emerging opportunities. This year, we have 9 outstanding speakers. Each speaker will talk about different aspects of our economy and the key business trends that are impacting our business environment. I'm sure you'll find the information invaluable. We encourage all of you to submit questions to our presenters in the comments section below. We will do our best to answer as many questions as we can. We'd also like to remind you that we are 100% online and live. And as we all know, the internet can be a little unstable sometimes. So if you lose our connection, don't worry, please stand by and we will be back with you shortly. It is now my honor to introduce our wonderful supporting partner. Oh, I'm sorry, the mayor is here. I'm not sorry the mayor is here. I'm pleased that the mayor is here. So it is now my great honor to welcome the Honorable Van Johnson, Mayor of Savannah, to make some opening remarks to our small business community. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Siegel. We appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm actually in transit. I got caught a little bit late. We were at the CETA groundbreaking as we celebrate some wonderful things as it relates to being able to provide larger businesses opportunities to locate here in Savannah. I'm really excited about the small business because we recognize for us that small businesses have been the cog of Savannah's economy. We recognize that through it all, through the last couple of years, through the economic downturns of 2007, 2008, and even now, it's been because of our small business community that we've been able to survive. For us, it's been an opportunity of wonderful small businesses that have been finding ways to be able to persist and sustain themselves in this time of uncertainty and confusion. We're excited because Savannah SCORE has partnered with some great partners to ensure that we are having something to deal specifically with small businesses, data as it relates to small businesses. Although some small businesses have had some very, very difficult times, let's be very clear, all small businesses have not. Through this pandemic, new small businesses have arisen. Some have changed their business plans and policies. Some have been able to grow, thrive, and survive in this ever-changing economy. So we're excited about what today means. We're excited about the fact that we will be benchmarking this historical time in history and passing it on to the Georgia Historical Society forever and ever, so that people well beyond us will be able to look and see how Savannah's small businesses fared during these times. We're asking and we're encouraging you to stay vigilant. We're asking and encouraging you to be creative. We're asking you to be able to find ways to be buoyant, to find ways to ride that wave, to look for emerging fields, the emergency technologies, find ways to work closer together, and really to find ways to stay relevant. The city of Savannah is committed to our partners in SCORE. We remain committed to all of you to find ways to help you do business better. We again recognize that the core, the cog of our economy is the everyday small local businesses, and which is why we're encouraging Savannahans, particularly throughout these holidays, to recognize the great impact and the great services and products that small businesses provide every day. So again, thank you all so much. We're so excited about you being here. We're so excited in the midst of a pandemic that we're still able to get together. So Savannah SCORE, thank you all so much for finding a way for us to be together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for your amazing comments and also for your absolutely invaluable support of our small business community. Thank you so much. I'd like to take a moment right now to recognize and thank our presenting sponsor, Wells Fargo. For many years, Wells Fargo has been an amazing partner, helping local businesses thrive and generously supporting this event. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Sherry Butler, Wells Fargo District Manager, Savannah Coastal. Sherry?
Thank you, Michael, and good afternoon, everyone. In November, Wells Fargo conducted a survey and discussed trends and developments impacting small business owners. Though COVID-19 continues to weigh on small businesses, owners are focused on staying positive and continuing to make thoughtful decisions. During this time of crisis, through hard work and dedication of our employees, Wells Fargo has stepped forward to provide critical financial support to millions of Americans and to infuse into thousands of communities. Wells Fargo is committed to helping our small business customers experiencing hardships as a result of COVID-19 and have placed an emphasis on providing the support America's small business need through the PPP program. As we continue to navigate these unprecedented times impacting our families, our businesses, and financial health, Wells Fargo remains committed to helping as many of our small business customers as possible navigate near-term challenges and secure payment relief solutions. Beyond our work with PPP and the millions of employees we've helped get back to work, we've continued to work with nonprofits to assist small businesses and have donated over $17 million to date as a part of an overall $175 million effort to assist those impacted by COVID-19. We've helped more than 1.7 million consumers, small business, and commercial customers by deferring payments, reversing and waiving fees, and offering maturity date extensions. This includes deferring more than 1.8 million fee waivers. Our team is working on a daily basis to ensure we are putting the most appropriate measures and resources in place to support the varying credit needs of our small business customers impacted by COVID-19, including helping customers effectively manage their debt. As the world continues to adapt to our new normal, our team at Wells Fargo is continuing to operate with a customer-first mindset, and we are working hard to provide customers with added support. As our customers' business grow, we have the capabilities to meet them where they are by offering the right products and services that fit their changing needs. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you, SCORE.
Thank you so much, Sherry, and thanks again to the entire Wells Fargo team for your continued support of our small business community. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'd like to thank our following small business ambassadors for helping to promote this event and for their support. The University of Georgia Small Business Development Center, the City of Savannah and its Entrepreneurial Center, the Savannah Area Chamber of Commerce, Buy Local Savannah, Savannah Women in Business, the Greater Savannah Black Chamber of Commerce, Savannah JCs, the Metropolitan Savannah Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Small Business Chamber of Savannah, Carriage Trade Public Relations, Inc., Joe Marchese Construction, Good Cause Marketing, Savannah Master Calendar, and Connect Savannah. Thank you so much to all of you. To all the small business owners who have tuned in today, we know it's been a really, really difficult year, but stay strong, stay focused, and don't give up. Remember, you are the backbone of our economy, and you're not in this alone. We are in this together, and together we will win. Thanks again to our friends and sponsors at Wells Fargo. And now it's time to start the presentations. Before we get started, please enter your name and the name of your company in the comment box below so we know who has joined us today. I'd now like to introduce our moderators. Joe Marchese, founder of Marchese Construction, and Marjorie Young, founder of Carriage Trade Public Relations. 8 years ago, Joe and Marjorie founded and launched the very first State of Small Business in Chatham County event. It is because of their vision and their dedication to our small business community that we are here today. Please join me in welcoming Joe and Marjorie.
Hey, Joe.
We're very excited to see all of you here today in this online forum, and we'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy day. We also want to thank our speakers and the time they took to create their reports and present them to us. Today we have a panel of experts who will give you the information that will allow you to make business decisions for the growth of your company. Each presenter has prepared a 3-minute talk. Today is all about you, the small businesses. These experts are here to answer your questions about the current state of our local economy. If you have any questions, please post them in the comment section below, and we will be monitoring them and answering them in the question and answer period after the presentation.
Yeah, and in the next few days, SCORES will be posting the PDF booklet of all these wonderful reports that these presenters are putting together. They will be on the SCORE website. And then, of course, these reports will be entered in the Georgia Historical Society's COVID-19 collection. What a crazy year we're experiencing. So also a reminder, this program will be running on Savannah, Georgia TV. That's channel 8. We thank you, the city of Savannah, for doing that. And of course, this broadcast will also live on SCORE's Facebook page. Joe?
Yeah, and so Governor Brian Kemp has recently announced that the state of Georgia has shattered its own record by being named the #1 state to do business in by Site Selection magazine. In 2019, Georgia became the only state in Site Selection's history to win 7 consecutive times, and now it is the only state to ever achieve that award 8 years in a row.
So congratulations to the great state of Georgia. We are happening for sure, for sure.
So even the pandemic has not slowed down the great state of Georgia. So we are ready for the 8th annual State of Small Business to begin here in Chatham County. For our first presenter, I would like to introduce Charles Bowen. He is the corporate entertainment attorney at the Bowen Law Group.
Thank you very much, Joe. And I'm here today to talk about the film industry in Savannah. And just like everywhere else in the world, the story of the entertainment and film industry in Savannah is kind of like a Rocky movie. You know, it's a story of getting knocked down, but coming back strong. On the positive side, 2019 marked the film industry's 7th straight year of multi-million-dollar growth in Savannah. If you go back as recently as 2013, the total money spent that year on film and television productions in Savannah was about $14.7 million. By 2019, thanks to the efforts of many people and organizations committed to growing the industry locally, that number had climbed to $125.6 million in direct spending, with a total economic impact of well over $266 million locally. 2019 was by far the best year Savannah had ever seen for film and television production. In fact, the year was capped off by Movie Maker magazine naming Savannah best small city in America to live and work as a filmmaker. Well, 2020 started out great. It was actually on pace to eclipse 2019. But then, of course, the pandemic hit and it decimated the entertainment industry, not just locally, but worldwide. COVID-19 shuttered almost all film and television productions, movie theaters, playhouses, pretty much every corner of the industry. But like Rocky rising from the canvas, the industry is starting to rebound. First, an industry-wide set of safety protocols has been developed that is allowing filming and production to start resuming again safely. The promise of a vaccine, of course, is very encouraging. And there's even talk right now of several potential projects currently in development in Savannah that may add much needed infrastructure locally that could potentially double or possibly even triple Savannah's capacity to host film and television productions. So finally, I think it's very important to note that due to huge demand for new film and television shows while people were quarantining at home, production companies have now released almost all of the new content that they had completed filming prior to the pandemic. And so what that means is that the demand for new content is higher than it has ever been in history. So when you add all of those factors together, all of the ingredients are there for a really epic comeback of massive proportions. So while the economic numbers from 2020 will certainly be well down from where they were the past 2-3 years, the future of the Savannah entertainment industry is actually brighter than it has ever been. And all indications are that that pattern of exponential year-over-year growth is going to begin again very soon, hopefully as soon as 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Bo. That's encouraging. That's encouraging. Thank you. Okay, to keep it moving right along with our 3-minute presentations, our next guest is Mike Rose, Development Liaison Manager of the City of Savannah. And Mike will be talking about local growth in construction. Welcome.
Thank you, Marjorie. I appreciate it. Yes, construction, even during this whole pandemic, we have not slowed down a bit. 2019 had a record year, like $707 million in valuation and construction. And right now, as of through October of this year, we're at almost $500 million and really on pace to get up to about 575 or so this year for construction valuation. So even during the pandemic, it hasn't slowed down, hasn't affected us. There's so many contractors, so many suppliers. Everybody's working real hard, and still throughout all of it, they're really working strong. There have been several new businesses, big hotels, small businesses, anything opening up, even all during this year. So it's turned out really well to support everybody that has come through. Commercial and residential both are still real strong, and we're on a great path. So kudos to all the contractors, all the workers, everyone out there doing their best to make the best of a rough situation, but still staying strong.
Very good. Thank you for your presentation, Mike. Joe?
Great. Hey, it's my honor to introduce Lee Beckman. Lee is with the Georgia Ports Authority. He is a great member of our local community, and the Georgia Ports Authority has just been setting records one after the other. Lee, tell us all about it.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Cor and Marjorie and Wells Fargo, and of course the mayor for putting this on. Small businesses is critical to our success here at the Port Authority. In fact, over 90% of our customers we consider small businesses here, and so it's very, very important that we get the message out to those small business owners to know that there's a lot of opportunity to be had by working with or through the port. In fact, it's our job to provide these opportunities for for them, turning these small businesses into the next Home Depot or the next Walmart. We want them to grow and prosper, and we want to be able to create that opportunity for them. And that's something that we work for and we focus on every day. We also want to know that all of our customers, large and small, are valued. Whether you're, a big box retailer or Jerry's Antiques on Bay Street, we want to treat you the same and treat you with respect. We have one of only 2 customer service centers in the port industry in America. And for your big box retailers, a lot of them, they know logistics fairly well. They have a whole team of folks working for them in logistics, but your small businesses, quite often, they don't. And so our customer service center is there to answer questions and help solve problems for folks who need that help. And they are a one-stop shop rather than having to call multiple people to solve those problems. Now, over the last year, COVID has certainly impacted our business considerably. And we saw a big decline in the spring and have become roaring back since the beginning of our fiscal year. August was a record month for all months in our history. September was a record September. October broke August record, and November looks to have shaped up to a pretty strong month as well. We'll be reporting those numbers soon. So in the new year, we're expecting maybe a little bit of a decline, but we're looking to having a strong year this coming year. We're very excited about that. E-commerce is a the big ticket that's come out of this whole COVID issue. We're 10 years ahead of where we expected to be in terms of e-commerce. So any businesses that are looking to or thinking about jumping into that, that's really going to be the wave of the future. We will not go back to where we were prior to this pandemic. E-commerce will only continue to get stronger, and that's very important to note. We also have not just serving our local area with goods and services, but we have a mega rail facility coming online, which will serve all the way up into Chicago and the Midwest. And that will impact us positively for logistics providers in our area. And of course, we'll see a lot of job opportunities arise out of that. So we're very excited about that as well. Again, I'm going to stay on for any questions. That's kind of a real quick and dirty on what's going on at the ports. We're very excited and very thankful for you guys to include us in this program.
More good news, Lee. That's really fantastic. Thank you for taking the time. And you'll be available for questions, answering them via the chat, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So next we have Keith Fletcher. He is with KRF Associates, and his topic is all about tech. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you, Marjorie, and thank you, everyone. As we know, 2020 has seen a lot of challenges. Technology is absolutely no different. Obviously, our our logistics industries have all done very well. Hospitality, retail, services, not as well as our ports as the ports doing. And tech is absolutely no different. We wanted to look at 3 metrics to try to understand the state of tech here in Savannah, for 2020. Looking at staffing changes, changes in technology services from a couple of our major service providers, and then a little snapshot on some of the entrepreneurs who have come to Savannah or who have started up business here in Savannah. To start with, staffing. Probably in technology, there's not a lot of indicators are better than how many people are we actually looking at employing and how many people do we need to deliver technology services. We talked with TEK Systems. They're one of the nation's largest staffing companies, and they have an office here in Savannah and have been here for quite a while. In 2019, they saw a 16% increase over 2018 in staffing needs for technology. Now, in 2020 with COVID and with the pandemic, They didn't see a significant decrease, but they didn't see any growth. So while we didn't lose technology staffing, we didn't increase it either, which is good news. We could have gone backwards. TDK Systems also does a large quantity of system installs for big companies. And they did have a number of those canceled. And the most significant thing is they lost 5 warehouse technology implementations. While the warehouses continued status quo, they did not implement new technology. Overall, for staffing, staying fairly flat, keeping our people that are going, and still hiring as many people in 2020 as we hired in 2019, I think is actually extremely good news. Then for services, we talked with Hargray and Famitsu. Both are major vendors of technology services, internet, as well as desktop and enterprise support. In 2019, Hargray saw a 30% growth over 2018, but in 2020, they saw just a bit over 10% growth. Famitsu saw pretty much flat growth in 2020, although they did see a significant increase in healthcare and an interesting uptick in companies such as HVAC, electrical services, etc., as people upgraded their homes for the work from home piece that everybody's doing. Now, both companies definitely saw stability in the need from our logistics industry, as we're seeing from the port. That has been a very reliable piece. Now, entrepreneurial activity. That's an interesting metric, but it's also kind of difficult to truly quantify. So we've worked with a number of startups here, and I'd like to emphasize the ones that are here, but then also go through why they came here in 2020. So just a quick list. We've got a company, Collabogistics. They're creating a blockchain logistics software package. They received their first round of funding in October. Adamer received their first round of funding in January, and they're creating a health-based application here. Justifier is a sensor-based company. They actually received 2 patents. They're here in Savannah. And we have We Are Global, who received funding in June, and FinAgility, who received funding in July. Now, what's really important about these startups is why they chose Savannah this year. Now, Collabogistics is a true logistics system. They chose coming here because of the Savannah Technology Corridor. Adamer is more interesting. They're funded out of Europe, and they selected Savannah, and they came here. They were looking for a location in March and April, and they picked coming here when it looked like some of the other major cities were more problematic. And then you had Justifier, who came here because they had a DoD contractor as their CEO, and he always wanted to live in Savannah. So with these examples, it really comes down to, if we have a truly welcoming, safe, and a technology-oriented, where we're making inroads into inviting technology companies here, that will encourage companies to be here. Obviously, with Adamer, which is a very specific example, they actually did choose Savannah because it would be safe and because their technology, they believe, will be welcomed here. After all, how many companies are going to move their businesses here with their families if they don't think this is a safe and welcoming place? And I think Savannah has managed to develop that and portrays that to the entire world. So thank you, and I look forward to questions.
Thank you very much, Keith. Very good. Okay, Michael, you're up, Michael. You're on. So, okay, thank you for the first 4 presenters, and we're going to have a 30-second commercial running with the Savannah score as we pull on the next 5 presenters. So stand by. Yeah.
Hey, Marjorie?
I did.
I'm sorry, I was on mute for a second. Sorry. I'd like to add something to what Keith was saying. Some folks have been kind of hesitant about starting businesses or growing businesses. And I just want to tell you that Savannah SCORE had the largest number of clients, the largest number of mentoring sessions, the largest number of attendees at educational webinars that we have ever had. So it's vibrant. People are doing it. And there's still lots and lots of opportunity out there.
Hold on. Stay tuned.
For over 50 years, SCORE has served as America's premier source of free business mentoring and education services. Locally, Savannah SCORE has helped hundreds of local clients establish and grow successful enterprises for free. Whether the challenge is getting better control of finances or growing market share, Savannah SCORE can help. We all need someone to inspire us to do better than we know. Don't put it off. Find your mentor today at savannah.score.org.
Very good.
All right. Well, great. Well, it looks like we're ready for the second round of our presenters. And with that, Joe, I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, so thank you all for bearing with us and being here in our little boxes. But it is my great pleasure to introduce a commercial real estate broker here in Savannah, members of the team over at Colliers, a good friend of mine, Rhett Boucher. Rhett?
Joe. Thanks, Marjorie. It's good to be here again. A little here, but thanks for the invitation. Present benchmarks and trends.
Oh, your sound is really off. Yeah, your sound is off, Rhett. Can you guys hear him? Yeah, we couldn't hear you, Rhett.
Okay, no volume.
No, we could not.
So let's let Rhett maybe sign in on a phone, and we're gonna pull on Victoria next. Okay, Victoria, you okay with going right now?
Yes.
All right. Victoria is the CFO of the Small Business Assistance Corporation, and her topic is small business access to capital in the Savannah region. There we go, Victoria.
Yes, thank you so much, Marjorie. I'm going to speak on behalf of SBAC. We're a small nonprofit community development financial institution where our main focus is to support those businesses and financings that are startups, whether they've been in business for 2 years or less, those that are minority, women-owned, veteran-owned, and those in rural areas. Well, 2020 has made a significant mark on businesses this year and in their needs of capital. The loan activity in Chatham County alone for SBAC has been at an all-time record high, with a total of 127 loans that were funded for nearly $12.9 million. There was a breakdown of emergency lending that we provided, which was a 3.5-month spread from mid-March to early July that accounted for 68% of our funding during the year. The remaining percentage went to non-emergency loans, which are still lending that were related due to the pandemic, were needed due to the pandemic. But again, it happened after the actual peak of the COVID-19 phase. The majority of our lending went to our 504 commercial real estate program, where $8.8 million was lent. And again, it was a very historical low rate for the real estate market, in which made commercial real estate affordable, and especially the capital. Some of the highlights that we were able to do as far as lending out to businesses, there were 44 businesses, 44% of the businesses went to minority-owned businesses, 53% went to women-owned. And typically the new jobs that are created as a metric for the dollars are lent are a dominating factor. But this year, actually 86% of the loans that we provided to secure financing for businesses were actually to help keep employees working. We've also were able to get new capital resources from state to our local government, and where we were able to provide $2.4 million in small business grants through the city and the county CARES Act grant fund. Just taking a look forward, being able to see how businesses are able to weather through the economic effects of COVID-19. There was a recent collaborative survey from the 12 Federal Reserve banks that asked how businesses would handle cash flow in the case of loss of revenue. 47% of those businesses shared that they would actually use their own personal funds. 17% said that they would have to close, and 46% would have to plan to take out additional debt to cover that. A lot of the small businesses are not able to rely on traditional banks for credit due to their high risk. And so there are other alternate programs such as SBAC that are there to support. Again, there still is a lot of uncertainty as far as what things will be in the future. There is still a push for Congress to actually provide more financing for businesses. But in the meantime, if this doesn't happen, businesses are needing to remain resilient, continue to adapt and make the necessary changes needed to stay in operations, and just have the community continue to support them.
Wonderful. That is great information. So very helpful for the small business community. Thank you, Victoria. So we're going to see, let me pull everybody else back on here. Let me see if we can get Rhett to present. Rhett, let me do a sound check with you.
Yes, can you hear me better now?
We can. Very good. You have some very important information. So let me, Joe, you can officially introduce Rhett, please.
All right. Thanks for having me. I'll talk about present benchmarks and trends for the future. Every year for the past few years, my report's been compiled from stats obtained from market segments that were already in a trend of growth, decline, or at least having a lot of predictability. Then for me, on March 13th, 2020, all changed. It was Friday the 13th, and in a few days, I would even be classified as non-essential. Wow. Can anybody relate to that one? It's been a week-to-week thought process, just wondering where we're headed in the real estate world. The third quarter numbers show a rebound in Savannah. And what I would like to report today is that despite COVID, the real estate world in Savannah is optimistic for the future. Let's discuss current benchmarks and trends. And I know I don't have time for all of them, but I'd like to start with and cover hopefully at least a couple of them. We'll start with
Brett got knocked off. All right, we're going to have to come back to Brett.
Yeah, it looks like we lost Brett, which thank you all for your patience. You know, this is just unprecedented time of use and, just a great platform, but it does only support 10 people. So at this point, I'd like to introduce David. David is the Senior Director of Finance for the City of Savannah. David?
Thank you, Freddie. Joe, and as we've been talking about so far today, as small business goes, the city of Savannah goes, because we are so dependent upon our small businesses here at the city government. When we take a look at all the tax revenue that is derived from small businesses, it's a large percentage of our budget. When we talk about occupational taxes, tax on professions, alcohol licenses, and we also have tourism related that come in for hotel, motel stays, and auto rental. When we look at 2019, we were looking at all-time highs, and it seemed like those trends would continue indefinitely into the future. But when we know COVID-19 struck in 2020, it was kind of a tale of two different years. Through the first 6 months of the year, we saw all-time lows in our tax revenues. And since about midsummer, when tourism picked up, we have seen some recovery in our tax revenues. When we talk about small business in the city of Savannah, so far this year, we've issued 6,715 business tax certificates, which is about 584 less than last year through this same period. And when we look at those businesses, about 42% of those have gross receipts of $100,000 or less. So almost half the businesses in Savannah will be classified as micro businesses based on their gross receipt. And what we've seen this year is a lot of those businesses that people are owning and operating as kind of a second income or as a hobby or that type of thing have elected to not renew their business tax certificate with the city based on the economy, and they'll see how things are going for next year. When we talk about business taxation revenues coming in, we're down about 1.3% this year compared to last year. Alcohol license revenue is down as well. Tourism related revenues are down overall for the year when we look at hotel motel tax revenues and auto rental taxes, but we have seen a dramatic improvement in those beginning in May and June and July. Though they still haven't returned to their pre-COVID-19 levels, we are seeing occupancy rates beginning to normalize. And I'm sure that Michael Owens will talk about that as well. But the thing that we're seeing is the rate per night has not returned to the pre-COVID-19 levels, but we are seeing some increases in tourism downtown. We are seeing increasing occupancy rates with hotels. So we are optimistic about what next year holds, but we do think it's going to be a slow recovery as far as taxation and business taxation within the city of Savannah. Back over to you, Joe.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that. And thanks for clarifying micro business and small business. It's just great to see the support that we've been receiving. Marjorie? Hey, Marjorie, I'm sorry, you're muted.
We're going to pull in Michael Owens now he's the CEO of the Tourism Leadership Council, and his topic is tourism business. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Marjorie. Thanks for having me, everybody. This is a great opportunity to get together, even though it's virtually this year, but I think we're all getting used to that. With 3 minutes and lots of stats to go over, I'll jump right in to give you an understanding of the impact of COVID-19 on tourism businesses in Savannah. In April of this year, which was our economic trough, the historic district had 7% occupancy. That's a 95.7% reduction off of the previous year. 92% reduction. Revenues downtown plummeted 95.7%. We have started some recovery after what really looked like to be our successful banner year. Much like what we heard from the film industry, the impacts were enormous and immediate. In April, as far as employment goes, 91% of all workers in accommodations and food service filed for unemployment in April. 91% of the entire workforce, which is the largest workforce in the city of Savannah, filed for unemployment. We did start seeing a very slow recovery that has taken all the way up to this month, October, which is the latest data. We're still seeing enormous drop-offs, and that's something important to remember is, if a hotel is at 50% of the rate and 50% of the occupancy, that means they're 25% of the revenue. We use a figure called RevPAR, which is a mixture of both occupancy and rate to understand where our revenue is. The historic district, now this is the best month we've had since the pandemic began. It was October, and revenues in the historic district were down 43%. For the entire Savannah and Chatham market, it was down 36%. Year to date, so that's 2 great months, a halfway decent month in March, and then the slow recovery period that we've been back on. For the historic district, year to date, ending in October, we're down 50% in revenue. The market is down 43%, and we think that number will actually erode just a little bit more in the next 2 months. We had a fairly decent Thanksgiving time period, but our occupancies have gone back down and will probably continue to do so for the foreseeable future. We'll see roughly anywhere between 30 to 40% occupancy on the weekdays in the city and 50 to 60% occupancy on the weekends moving forward. That unfortunately will continue at a substantially depressed rate, down half or a third. depending on which part of the submarket, whether you're out by the airport or the historic district. The most negatively impacted has been those businesses in the historic district, and that lodging sector there has actually been the leading indication of the depression that's going on within the market. In the recovery, that will swap. It's the historic district that will come back the strongest with the highest revenue. Those rates in the historic district are twice that of the other markets. So that is while the rooms in the historic district represent only a third of the inventory, they represent more than half of the income to the market, and certainly the tax revenue as well. We expect full market recovery, hopefully by second quarter of 2024. It will take years to build back what COVID only took a few weeks to devastate. Employment has stabilized within the market. We are still shy about 3,000 to 4,000 employees from where we were pre-pandemic, and that number will remain static for quite some time. We are not hopeful, frankly, about St. Patrick's Day happening in the city or that market returning very quickly. We think that we'll really start seeing a boost in end of Q2, beginning of Q3 in 2021 before we start seeing the real pace of recovery. It's also important to say that we absolutely will recover. It will just take years to do so. And the other important thing to note is that unlike many other economic sectors, our revenue lost is permanently lost. You cannot go back in time and sell a hotel room that went empty last month. You can't sell a seat at a restaurant or a bar that was empty yesterday. And a plane ticket that is unpaid for, a seat that's empty today, is permanent lost revenue. So unfortunately, recovery means an opportunity to create new revenue, not recoup what has already been lost. That's all I have.
Michael, thank you. It's a lot to go over in 3 minutes, but I hope you stay on for the questions and answers
Absolutely.
after this. So I'm going to pull on, thank you very much. And I'm going to pull on Rhett. Rhett, let's see if we can get your sound back here. Rhett, can you hear us? Rhett. Okay, so let's pull on.
It appears that Rhett is frozen, which I hope is only a video, a virtual representation of him. He's still moving around in his office. But at this time, I would like to introduce the Fuller E. Callaway Professor of Economics at Georgia Southern University, Michael Toma. Dr. Toma.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the invitation to be back here again at the State of Small Business presentations. Thank you to the small business community to be here with us, taking time out of your day and joining us. So I'm going to launch right into some statistics here. Typically, small businesses are generally defined as those that employ fewer than 500 workers. And that share of our regional employment base is about 78% of our total employment in the 3-county metropolitan area. That has roughly been stable for a while. I do want to focus my remarks on the smaller businesses in our community, the businesses that employ 50 or fewer workers. They, through June at least, were more resilient than their larger employer brethren out in the business community through June, right? Now, this was 3-4 months into the pandemic. They had only lost 8% of their workforce, which is about 5,000 workers, as compared to a 12% loss among businesses that employed more than 50 workers. So they had fared fairly well, right? It's all relative in terms of the initial reaction to the pandemic. Pivoting and talking about why that might be is that these businesses tended to be more they tended to move more quickly with respect to applying for funds from the federal government through the Paycheck Protection Program. In the city of Savannah, businesses that use the city of Savannah as their mailing address, those businesses accrued $440 million through the Paycheck Protection Program. And of those, 90% of the loans that were processed went to businesses that employed fewer than 50 workers. And 60% of the funds, that was about $250 million, went to businesses that employed fewer than 50 workers. There was roughly an equal split of about of the total loans processed, about 14 to 15% went to small businesses in healthcare, business professional services, and the hospitality industry. So these businesses were more quick to apply for these loans, better than the state average. About 70% of the loans in our area were processed in April of the year as compared to 60% in the state. Since June, however, I think the state of small businesses has probably eroded somewhat. Now, we don't have the data quite at the granular level that we have through the second quarter of the year, but I am anticipating that there will be some erosion in the small business sector into the third and fourth quarter of this year. Overall, in the MSA, the employment has recovered about 97% of where we were last year at this time. But the leisure and hospitality industry, as Michael Owens has pointed out, it was hammered very heavily, and employment in that sector has only recovered to about 82% of its pre-COVID level. So that sector is still off 4,000 or 5,000 jobs. It's fared marginally better than the U.S. is at the national level. That leisure and hospitality at the U.S. level has recovered to about 80%. So we're a little bit ahead of the game at 82% here in our metropolitan area. With respect to recovery, what it will really depend on is not the fact that we may have vaccines available, but what really matters is whether people will get vaccinated. So vaccinations matter, not necessarily just vaccines. People have to be vaccinated in order for employers and consumers to have a higher level of confidence in terms of interacting with each other in the marketplace. So in the service sector industry, and particularly in the hospitality and the tourism sector, there's a large degree of face-to-face interaction. There needs to be a much higher level of comfort level of interacting with each other to spur recovery in those sectors. So overall, while we're back at 97% of where we were pre-COVID, most of that remaining 3% is unfortunately stuck in the hospitality sector and in the leisure and accommodations and food services. Those sectors have a long way to go. It is likely that we will begin to see recovery, as Michael Owens pointed out, probably towards the end of the second quarter and into the third quarter of next year. It will be well into the fourth quarter, end of the year, by the time our overall metropolitan area economy recovers to pre-COVID level. I will wrap up my conclusions there and stay online.
Welcome to the online world. Gosh, thank you so much, Dr. Toma, for 8 years of helping out with this state of small business in Chatham County. And thank you all presenters. If Rhett can get back on, we would love to hear your presentation. If not, we're going to go ahead and open it up for question and answers at this point. Here's one question right now. Can you find out the statistics for the Hispanic, Latino employees or subcontractors within the tourist, film, and hospitality industries? We might need some more information on this, Alfonso. Mike?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a difficult number to pull right now, but that's something that we can make available. And remember, the PDFs of these the speeches with charts and graphics will be available. So.
Yep, they'll be available. But now is the time to ask the questions. We would like to do a Hispanic state of small business. I know some good speakers for that.
Sure.
All right. It's nice people are thanking us for doing this and putting this on. Any other comments about the different reports that you heard?
I love Bo Bowen's epic comeback of massive proportions. I think that is something we do have to concentrate some of the bright spots. And I will encourage everyone. My wife and I just last week had a little staycation down at Planters Inn. So if you can stay local, come on down and book a room somewhere in the historic area.
Absolutely. Michael Owens, can you...
Yes, ma'am.
I know we had a chat yesterday, and there's so much more information that the local folks could could hear from you. I mean, tourism really took a hit. Really took a hit. What can you encourage our local community to do to help? I mean, will it help at all?
Certainly, absolutely. Well, certainly, absolutely. Well, I think one of the big misnomers over time has been that the tourism industry, we really refer more to ourselves as the hospitality industry, caters to one section. We cater to visitors versus local. That's never been the case. That's never been the case. I lived downtown for 20 years, and I went to the quote unquote touristy spots because those were my restaurants. What we have seen is really a tremendous outpouring from local businesses that are, now more than ever, it's so important to shop local. Now more than ever, it's important to, if you can get a meal to go at a restaurant, if you're not, if you don't feel safe about doing in-person dining, that's great, that's fine. But if you can do to go, if you can do gift cards or that kind of thing, that's a terrific way to support. And it's those small things that really do add up to our economy. It's really important to know this. If you get nothing else from anything I've said today, look, we were before the pandemic a $3 billion industry. That makes us sound like we're this massive network of these huge corporate conglomerates. We're not. The fact of the matter is that most of our businesses, almost all of our businesses, meet the definition of small business at 50 employees or fewer. Right? There's a bunch of us. It's a big market, and what we do band together and make quite a powerful economic force. But the fact is, even on the hotel side, we hear folks about corporate hotels. There are no brand-owned hotels in Savannah. Marriott doesn't own a single property in Savannah. These are local business owners who own these franchises. The vast majority of the money stays here in our community. So even when you're taking a staycation at the Marshall House on Broughton Street, you're benefiting two owners who live here in Savannah and have their entire lives, and their employees are our friends and neighbors. We're not an industry separate and apart of Savannah. We are Savannah. We helped build the economy, and that economy has shared to 27,000 of our friends and neighbors. We are Savannah. We're very proud to raise our children here and go to school here. And when you come out to a restaurant, even when you stay at one of our hotels, like Joe Marchese did just last weekend, you are supporting your neighbors.
That's how we're going to get through this pandemic. And with Dr. Thoma's prediction of 2022, is that correct? Did I hear that correct? Recovery?
Late 2021, early 2022.
That's sobering. Wow.
It will be a while. You have to hunker down still and just hold on.
Absolutely. I want to ask.
Marjorie, one of the things I might mention is that we have these challenges, and some of these statistics from our presenters are certainly daunting. But I would also suggest that this is a fabulous time to plan for a business. This is the time. Do your research, do your market, check your competition, start getting a business plan together. Get to the point where you're getting close to a launch pad, if you will, so that as things change and as the environment becomes more advantageous to you, you're ready to go. You're not starting from scratch. So don't be discouraged. Keep on going and
are there any stats? I know
objectives.
we were trying to get somebody to come on and talk about how many new businesses applied for licenses, and I don't know if we have any of that information here. But David, do you know off the top of your head?
Well, what we're showing is we're down about 400 to 500 tax certificates being issued this year compared to last year. And as I was talking about earlier, a lot of it is people who have very small businesses that they run out of their garage or as a hobby or kind of a side project. And so with the pandemic, there was just nothing really for them to do. And so they just declined renewing that business tax certificate with us this year. A lot of them have told us if things are better next year, they will come back in and renew next year.
I like Michael. Michael's idea of starting a business and getting ready. I mean, I've been reading in national publications, it's a huge trend that people are starting more businesses out of the garage, out of your house. So anyhow, Rhett, do you think we can get you back on here? Can we, Rhett?
Yes.
Oh, let's try it.
Hey, there you are, Rhett.
Awesome. Rhett, let me move up a little bit more so we can see you, and at least we can hear you for sure. Rhett is, let me go ahead and introduce Rhett back up here. He is an associate broker with Colliers International, and his topic is going to be commercial real estate trends. Take it away, Rhett. There we go.
All right, and sorry about the tech issues. Had our team working on it, but I'll get right in. I'm not sure what you heard initially, but I kind of like to start a little bit basically by saying that it was Friday the 13th when all this changed for me, and Friday 13th, 2020, and it was in March, and within a few days I was classified as non-essential in my business. And through the past years, whatever I've tracked real estate trends and the benchmarks, generally fairly predictably, but all that changed this last March. But despite COVID, the real estate world in Savannah is optimistic for the future. And I'm going to go through the benchmarks and some trends, and I'd like to start with our industrial sector. The industrial sector is definitely the big winner for our growth award. And I'm glad Lee was here and glad he talked about the port, because I'd like to be the second guy in there talking about the success of the port and how it affects our industrial real estate sector. It's definitely the big winner. We have over 6.7 million square feet under construction. And at the end of third quarter 2020, we had only a 4.37% vacancy. 3 million square feet were absorbed in the first 3 quarters of 2020. And those statistics come from our Colliers office from David Sink, who has been compiling this report for several years. And when he sent this report out at the end of third quarter, the big highlight on it, the big first line is that, hey folks, the sky is not falling yet. And when we saw those industrial numbers and the absorption, I mean, it did make us feel a lot better. More good news is that the Port of Savannah is attracting many large companies, thanks again, Lee, that need more planned industrial parks to provide space. We're seeing the need for fulfillment centers and what they call last mile supply type of warehousing and storage. And these terms are used by UPS and Amazon for short-term storage of goods close to the delivery points. And again, I'm glad that Lee came before me, because he and his team are doing a terrific job. Without the port, I think things could be a lot worse in the Savannah area. Just a few examples of expanding growth corridors and some trends to look at for the future is along the I-60 toward Atlanta. Atlanta seems to be the magic word, magic destination for distribution. The Jimmy Love Park next to I-16, the direct destination to the port. Along I-95 South, at example, Belfast, several hundred acres there. Highway 21 Carter in Chatham County. And for those of you who have if you recall, over the last few years, or virtually no industrial, there were a couple of industrial parks, and that was about it. So it was 3,000 square feet of warehouse space during those times. And then I just looked at one of the submarket reports from CoStar, and all of a sudden I see this huge spike on the sheet. And 2019 during 2020, there's about 2.5 million square feet that will be delivered in Effingham County, and most of that is already pre-leased. So it gives you an idea of what our growth corridors are going for. And then I mentioned the last corridor right now. There's also others too, but North Bryan County, there's over 2,000 acres right now that's being planned for industrial parks, and there's additional land around that that's being planned for commercial and family to accommodate multiple workers. And keep in mind that that particular exit at Pembroke is 23 miles from the Port of Savannah. And a few years ago, we were 23 miles. Now it's not too far away. So that's definitely our winner in the as far as the sector goes. So I don't run out of time, but I think the sector is going to affect Savannah. And that's the talking about. Vacancy rate is 9.7, 9.4, but the supply of is not changing too much. And that's pretty much what it's for the last few years. There's a slight increase in rental rate, decline of average is really in 5 years. And of course, we think this is because of the effects of the COVID. And our office market stats was compiled at Colliers. These are the ones I'm reporting to, Ashley, Hillary, and Colin Kay. And they've been tracking the also. Most of the sources are office space on the west side. But again, the office is now the same as it has in the past few years. But keep in mind, long-term effects are designed for future office. How will offices be affected? Some large offices are already downsized space. Newer office design standards will reflect the need of continued social distancing. Co-working concepts may become obsolete. And new designs are being activated right now by HVAC. 2 new developments will most likely use those concepts in their new office property. One is at Eastern Europe, and as you know, Eastern Europe is Marriott as part of a 48-acre mixed-use development. The other is the John K. Batson Cook development on Hutchins Island, just east of the West. Both of those developments will utilize a lot of outdoor common area, which is the one thing that we really see right now. And we'll have new office concepts to accommodate the small office user and the large corporate user if we can attract them. Let's hope that we can. I'll just touch briefly on future trends. Future trends I've already mentioned, basically Hutchinson Island and Eastern Wharf. And I mentioned our industrial expansion in surrounding counties. One major one that's going to happen, especially on the west side, is the Benton Boulevard expansion. It'll tie in with Highway 30 and also the future intersection of the Effingham Parkway. And it will also connect Highway 21. This is going to create a strong development corridor from Fuller to Fort Woodward. It will be commercial and mainly multifamily and commercial development, not that much industrial on that corridor. And I also have to mention Plant Riverside. It is the largest redevelopment in our historic district. And it is really getting into the news. It's really anchored on that west side. And so I'm going to keep that in the forefront too. So those are the 2 sectors that I'm going to cover and at least highlight on. There's multifamily and retail, but I think I've hit on some trends too. So thanks again for having me.
He's muted.
Yes, it muted everybody. So anyhow, thank you, Rhett, for joining. Everybody unmute. For some reason, it muted. Michael, thank you so much, Rhett, for giving that presentation. Dr. Toma, you have a question. You said you had a comment about business planning.
Several of our speakers have mentioned this. Can't hear. I don't understand.
I can hear you.
Okay. The quickest way to say it is that I highly disagree with negative commentary about jobs being permanently lost. The economy will evolve. These jobs are not gone forever. The economy will recover. It's just that the jobs will be different jobs. So the idea that we need to plan and think about the future is great. Now is a good time to do it. So there are negativists out there who say that, oh, these jobs are gone and they'll never come back. I totally disagree.
Okay, thank you for that comment. I know we've got a question here, and who can answer this question? This is from Destiny. Dr. Toma, is that something you could answer?
Well, I think I can take a look at it. As far as the Savannah goes, you guys hearing feedback on that?
No, we can hear you.
As far as the city of Savannah,
Marjorie, you need to mute. Marjorie, the feedback may be from you or.
yeah, the city of Savannah does have several programs that we use within our purchasing function, within our economic development function, to encourage local contractors to use trade within the Savannah market. So we are doing a lot of work with that. And that program is on for years and years. Chatham County does the same type of program as well.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you. Joe, go ahead.
And I did want to say that, you know, even though some of the larger projects are, seem to be big projects, Richard Kessler does own Plant Side, and Billy Robinson over Logistics is doing a large expansion of his warehouse. Melinda Schumann and Robin Ketchum over at BMR Logistics, all local people, local dollars, their families go to school here. You know, it's just phenomenal that there are these projects. And like you said, even though it says Marriott on the wall, there's still an owner that owns that hotel that lives and works here in Savannah.
Absolutely. Let's see. We've got something from Alfonso down a little bit. Okay. Thank you for chiming in, Alfonso. And if there's any other questions from our live feed, now's the time to do it, because we're getting ready to wrap up because the internet is getting wonky on us. So,
Marjorie.
yes.
Hey, I saw a question about how do we track the occupancy data, and it's a great question. It's a very easy answer. The occupancy data that we talk about, and it's the only ones we'll ever cite, are based off of actuals. It's not an academic study. It's not an economic study that's done. We use something called Smith Travel Research, which is really the #1 globally for this. And the participating hotels, which is the vast majority of the market, actually input their actual data, their actual occupancy percentage, and their actual average daily rate, or ADR. So that when we talk about rate statistics and occupancy statistics, they are accurate within 1/100th of a point. They're not market assumptions. They are the absolute. So when we say 76.4% of hotel rooms were occupied in Savannah on the 3rd of June, that is exactly what our occupancy was. It is extremely accurate data.
Great. And Michael, if you could tell people what the Tourism Leadership Council is, I think that might help them to understand.
Sure. So many years ago, we divided our industry organizations into 2 parts. Much like we run many of our operations, there's a sales and marketing side, and there's an operations side. Visit Savannah operates as the marketing organization for tourism in Savannah, and the Tourism Leadership Council acts as the operations side of the industry. So we do not spend any time, talent, or treasure in bringing people to the community. That's what Visit Savannah does. We do everything else. So that is training, scholarships, education, advocacy, legislative oversight, and a fairly decent Scotch collection. That's super important to us, is that I have a very good Scotch collection, especially during COVID. So anything that's not related to bringing people here becomes our responsibility. We are a privately funded nonprofit trade organization. We are not funded by the government, nor do we receive any tax dollars.
Great. Thank you for that. I think that clears it up. So this is real data reported by actual hotel operators, and it is compiled by the Tourism Leadership Council and shared with us. So we'd like to thank all of our participants and panelists, and thank everyone that sent in a question, and remind everyone that we do have additional resources located at savannah.score.org. And also, this program will be rebroadcast tonight on Georgia TV, which is Channel 8. And starting next week, it'll also be available on the SCORE's Facebook page. And that's facebook.com/score-Savannah.
And also a reminder that at 6 p.m. this evening, the Savannah JCs will be hosting a live panel discussion with invited candidates on their representatives for the January 5th runoff. The event starts at 6 p.m. tonight at the JC's Facebook page.
Right, and we'd also like to thank our presenting sponsor, Wells Fargo. Again, thank you so much. Thank you to Savannah SCORE. Sorry, I've got.
Oh gosh, I think the internet is. Can y'all hear us? I think the internet has had it with us today.
Can we talk about broadband? In
Yeah, we
Savannah
need
now?
to talk about broadband in Savannah. My goodness, my goodness. Is Michael?
We're-
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're still work when you need it, right?
Yeah. All right, guys, this has been a wonderful presentation, and I want to thank all the speakers and everybody for signing on and listening. And a reminder that it will be at the Savannah SCORE website. And I am trying to pull up one more thing here. So hold on one second. And with that, that concludes our 2020 State of Small Business presentations, prayers for the upcoming year. We need it. Keep your small businesses really need it. So thank you, everybody, and thanks for watching. Bye.